Mr. Mishra, Akshay, Shalini, Kavita, Mr. Venkat.
No way. I was just being polite.
I am not guilty.
I felt bad.
No, that was meant to be a joke.
No. It was just a compliment.
Let's start from the beginning and see what happened.
Thank you, thanks.
Good morning.
Morning, Mishra.
Second floor?
No, fourth actually.
Did you also get stuck in the park traffic?
No, I live next street.
I ride a scooter. Very convenient. By the way, you're looking very nice.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Acha. Appraisal meeting. Don't worry. You'll get it.
Good morning, Sherin. What happened?
Don't even ask, yeah. You know that Mishra ji? He thought I'm dressed like this just to impress the boss. Can you believe that?
Men know. Okay, listen, it's our boss in. I need to ask for leave next weekend.
Leave? In the middle of appraisals? Wait, what's your excuse? Are you pregnant? Oh, no, wait. You can use your Madrasi bonding and ask him. Of course he'll give you leave. Go. Go ask him.
Okay, I see. Na pora.
Hello? Kavita, read Nimisha.
Shama, you should have been in the show yesterday. You missed an amazing show, yeah. You were so good. Hey, Ashwin, how was the show yesterday? See, it was a brilliant show.
Hello, Young Achiever of the Year.
Morning, sir.
Morning, what's up?
Coffee?
Break already, yeah? Evening, 7 p.m., con call.
Sure, sir. I'll log in from home.
No, office.
Sure, sir.
Tea break, coffee break. I don't
know what bothers me where I go. Mr. Ji? Sir. Arey, baithiye. You don't have to. By the way, the project that was in the pipeline, we got it. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, I was talking to Pooja about how the client loved your presentation and he's very happy with it. We'll be going forward. But chota sa problem hai. The client wants to run the production in 2 locations simultaneously.
No problem.
Which will involve a lot of traveling.
Sir, I can.
I know. Which is exactly why I asked Pooja to take the lead so you can relax.
So now what do you say?
Arey, I was just showing empathy considering he's disabled.
You mean differently able?
Yeah, that's what. But boss here was mean to me.
It's not as if you are perfect, Akshay. You judged me because of my disability.
Excuse me? Look who's talking. You judge me just because of the dress I'm wearing. Women don't dress just to impress people, by the way.
By the way, you keep saying I get perks because I'm from Madras. That's also not cool.
No, but that's a joke.
Oh,
yeah.
when it happens to you, it's okay.
But you know I was meaning it as a joke. How
No,
can you take it so seriously?
You keep saying it every time. 1 or 2 times. It's
Stop.
fine.
Stop! It's all of you. You're all guilty of unconscious bias.
What bias?
Unconscious bias. Judging people based on stereotypes which you are not even aware of. Like assuming that Shalini was well dressed only for a better appraisal. Now that's a bias, Mr. Mishra.
By the way, you're looking very nice today.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
You should have been more self-aware. And you thinking that Kavita uses her regional connect to pull favors.
No, that was meant to be a joke.
You could have showed more empathy.
In the middle of appraisals. Wait, what's your excuse? Are you pregnant? Hey,
And Akshay, you could have asked for a second opinion.
But छोटा सा problem है. The client wants to run the production in 2 locations simultaneously, which will involve. Will that be an issue?
No problem, sir. I can shuttle between the 2 locations. Thank you for asking.
Alright then, all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I got it. I got it. I'm guilty of unconscious bias. I assume young people take a lot of breaks and don't take work seriously.
Guys, can we go for a coffee break?
Coffee.
So, I heard you're about to have your first kid. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's a girl. We're thrilled. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be. You'll do great. Although the timing is a little unfortunate.
How so?
Well, we have a new job opening coming up, and I was thinking about recommending you, but I assume you'll want to switch to part-time as a new father.
Hey! Welcome, guys. I see so many of you online already. Welcome back to our next episode of CMA HR Intervention. How are you guys doing? Is it that way? Yeah. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing great. Anyway, if you're new here, HR Intervention, you must be wondering, what is that? It's actually HR where we interview HR experts from various walks of life, and we talk about areas of HR and career development. So if you are a working adult, working person, then definitely this show is for you. But before we dive in further into the interesting topic for today, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sherin from Compass Mind Asia, and with me is...
I'm James Safi, Senior Manager of Learning and Development.
Ooh.
She's my dramatic entrance.
Definitely.
It's so good to have everyone here. Hello. And, all our viewers are so biased because they only said hi to Sherin and not me. So sad.
Oh, that sounds
Except
wonderful.
for Krishma Valiappan. Hi.
Who sudah potong rambut? CA says, hi Sherin and James. Wah, sudah potong rambut. Oh, James sudah potong rambut.
Yes.
He's so sharp. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this is episode 6, HR Intervention. Sherin.
Now you get everyone saying hi to you, Shall we have the intro video?
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
Video on.
Over to Nina. Wow. I see so many hello to James now. Now I'm jealous. Anyway, over to you, James. Sorry.
Yes, hello, everyone. I hope it is not too late for us to wish all of you Selamat Hari Raya. If you had missed episode 5, you would have seen me in my Raya outfit. Although Raya was last week, but I'm sticking to the local saying, Raya kan sebulan. And yesterday, Sherin, I had my ketupat and rendang. Oh my God, my Raya is so complete now. You know, I've been craving every year. You have this Raya and you have ketupat and rendang. I was thinking, ayam mana lah ketupat rendang? And one of my staff brought ketupat and rendang.
That reminds me, actually, I remember Nina and Faiz were actually baking for Raya, and I'm still waiting for my cookies. I know Faiz baked peanut butter cookies. And Nina only sent me pictures of it. Oh, by the way, if you guys are wondering who is Nina and who is Faiz, they are really the back-end guys who make all this work for us. So anyway, for us at the office last week, it was pretty quiet because everyone was, a lot of them were away celebrating Raya. I mean, besides, a lot of them are also away because of our interesting MCO that's back again. But this week, it's more exciting as we makan while we talk over this Raya session. So if you guys are eating your lunch with us and watching us today, let us know what are you eating? Are you having like what James had yesterday, ketupat and rendang, which I had so So let's welcome some of our friends here today. We see so many nice new faces too. Hi Ajay.
Krishnamurti. Hi Krishnamurti.
There's Liz.
Carissa. Hi Carissa, welcome back. Konasilan.
Karishma. There is Karishma and there's Karishma.
And there's Karishma Kapoor.
Yes. Where are Karishmas from? Can you let us know where are you from? Because there are some of you from overseas. Let us know where in the world are you from. Syed Arslan, hi Raya to you. Ilyana, hi. Welcome, Vivian. Marisa. Marisa, are you tuning in from Johor or in KL? Hi, Siraj. Nice to see you on the live show. Hi, Kunasilan. Sabrina. Wow, so many nice faces. Shazwani. Well, we'll continue saying to the rest, hi. I also know Renuka and Andreas are also in because I saw through my phone.
Nasi lemak and chicken rendang. Wow.
Sedap.
Charles from Kathmandu. Wow, Charles.
Hi, Charles. All right. Oh, Karishma. Ara Damansara.
Karishma, right next door to you.
We'll see you in 1 hour's time. Anyway, if you are a newbie on this show, please type #newbie so we will know that you're new. And for those who have been here, thank you for coming back again. Like I say, let us know what you're eating so that can make us a bit hungry because I know James has been busy in a meeting and he hasn't eaten. And guys, if you all have any... Hi, Sarjit is from Alostar. Oh, Marisa is eating dates and apples. Oh yeah, Marisa. Enough. Please eat proper food.
Are you eating apples with your date?
With your date. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, guys, if you guys have any questions as we are going along the way, please put it in the comment section below because then we're going to try to answer them all.
I always don't know where to point with this video, you know.
Yeah, you are right. You're there.
Yes, I got it. There you go.
Look at all the newbies on the show. Farid. Hi, Farid.
Awesome. Pasta, that's so not Malaysian.
He is so Malaysian, but he doesn't eat the Malaysian food. So, anyways, James, over to you.
So, where am I?
We have someone who says I'm coming back. Sorry. Go on.
I lost the track. Where am I?
All
these people are like all this food and So if you guys were here a few minutes before 1 p.m., then you might be able to catch a glimpse at our pre-show video. Both videos were so powerful and had a very deep message. They basically circle around our topic of the day, that is unconscious bias at the workplace. What do you think of it, Sherin?
What do you think of it, James?
I have been victim of. Am I on mute?
No, you're not. I
No,
can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. I have been victim of unconscious bias many, many times. But then again, we'll talk about that towards some of this towards the I will select here and there. But the one thing that really stands out was when this unconscious bias actually ended up with me getting fired.
Oh gosh, that bad.
So
you need a shoulder to cry on later. You can have mine.
But hey, you know what? We move on.
That's right.
What about you, Sherin?
We'll talk about my part later because I have been always pretty lucky not to get into that segment of biasness. Maybe because I'm just nice, James.
Yeah, because you are always, unconscious everywhere you go.
Yes. Look, Yandaro Al-Amin's on the line. Hi, Amin. David Neto is having chapati and mutton varaval. Now I'm hungry.
When you say this thing about when you are, maybe because I'm too nice, it is when, you become unaware that this unconscious bias is happening. But we'll let our guests talk about it.
Yes,
Shall we?
Let me introduce our guest for today. Her name is SITI MAHERAN, who is actually a diversity and inclusion advocate. She, Maheran, helps individuals from organization. Hi, Maheran.
Such a beautiful smile you have. Oh my God, I'm sure you have such a good riot.
Yes, lunch on me.
Oh yeah, only for him or with me?
With you as well.
You're the best. Anyway, Maheran helps individuals, organizations, and communities. She builds their capabilities, skills, and resources from diversity, equity, and inclusion. Did you know that it's called, in short, DAY? So she's dedicated to create an environment of inclusion and belonging where everyone, regardless of gender, generation, culture, and of course their different abilities, feel valued and also are active contributors to a thriving ecosystem. Besides being a consultant, facilitator, and coach, she also offers a unique insight, appreciating and understanding of the different day, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know what? I got to ask you this question later, Maheran, and the difference between equality and equity, because I Googled that just now. So, she focuses on challenges and opportunities that are unique in Asia. She is a mom of 3 lovely children and a sweet little cat. Where's your cat now, Maheran?
Oh, she's asleep. But she may make an entrance. She loves to do that, especially when I'm in a meeting.
All right. I noticed they love to jump onto the laptop and say hello.
Yes, make their presence known.
Exactly.
So you guys, if you if you have deep connections with this issue, please do drop it in the chat box as it is. There's so many. Me too, because at Mat Saleh, people believe because he's a Mat Saleh, preferential treatment and all that stuff. You know what? I'm really curious about this topic, Sherin. So with our guest here, shall we?
Yeah, shall we hear from her? Over to
Thank
you,
you.
Margaret.
Thank you so much, Sherin and James, for inviting me to this session today. I'm really happy to be here and to talk about something that's very close to my heart and something that I'm just deeply, deeply passionate about. And all the comments that are coming in from everybody who's present today. Thank you so much for all that. Some of the comments made about Mak Saleh being, although you've been in Malaysia for a long time, yeah, that those things happen, right? And we brush it off as just one of those things that happen, and we move on, right? But that's why how I got into this space is really about exploring how really diversity and inclusion really is very close to my own life purpose. So it's like my happy place, and I feel that it very much aligns with the values that I hold very dear. And it really for me started off with things having my first ever at my first job. My manager said to me, the mark of a great leader is to have the people who work for you happily and willingly. So that really stayed with me, and I felt that that's something that I need to make sure that I recreate, so that uh, people can show up in their best selves. They can, they don't feel fearful, that they can be, they can share their ideas, and that's where we can get a lot of new ideas, new business solutions, new innovation, and it will really help the clients that we serve. So yeah, and I think leadership moving forward, we can't be leading the same way we've always done just because that's the way it's been done before. Is that we leaders need to show up in a different way with a lot of empathy and compassion, to really drive that human element another several notches up, right? So there's so much to be done, and that we can really drive this forward. So yeah, so it's really interesting to be here, and the videos that you shared earlier was just very eye-opening, very I never get tired of looking at all these videos because these are real life examples. For sure, one of us have already gone through at least one of those similar comments that you get at work, right? Yeah. So because it happens, it's a daily occurrence, right? So we just need to find out how can we how can we recognize that, how can we address that, and how can we make sure that it doesn't creep into the decisions we make regarding people in the workplace. And yeah, and just in future, how can we work towards making sure that we can mitigate this better, right? Yeah. So
Yeah. James, you have something to say?
So shall I actually introduce the topic for us today, Sherin?
Maybe I want to do that. All
Yeah,
right.
so biased.
Yeah. So today, our topic for today is unconscious biasness at the workplace. So what is bias actually? Bias is generally defined as the inclination of or prejudice for or against one person or a group of people, okay? Especially in a way considered to be very unfair. However, there's a type of bias known as unconscious bias that can significantly impact a workplace. It does trouble people, and shape who gets seriously recruited, hired, and even promoted. However, it is said that having an unconscious bias doesn't make the person a bad person, actually. It just means that you're actually human. So, how true is this? Well, we'll know more soon for sure from our expert speaker today. Before we begin with shooting our questions, James, to our guests, always, we have a question for the audience. Do you want to share with the audience, or you want to share it with them?
We have a question for our online audience. Okay, based on the videos that we've played at the beginning, has any similar situation happened to you before? And if yes, which one? Let us know in the comment section now.
So we're ready to go, isn't it? So before we
Yes.
discuss the whole issue, Maheran, can you explain to us what unconscious bias means and what does it have to do with diversity and inclusion? Because as I understand, unconscious bias is a very big topic. But how does it? What has it to do with diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, great question there. And like how you've explained that just now, that definition of what bias is, that's really truly what it is. And unconscious bias is really a prejudice that anybody can hold, right? As long as I always joke about this, that as long as you have a beating heart, you are biased to some degree, right? It's very hard to swallow, like what we were saying earlier about now. Excuse me, I'm not biased. I'm a good person. I'm nice. It's because we want to we like to think that we're good people, and we are essentially.
We are. I
We are. We
am.
are. Yes, that's right. And it's just that sometimes without realizing it, we can say things, we can have an unfair inclination towards some group of people or to a person, and and it's but actually at the same time, right, bias is really something that is part of our brain shortcut to help us process the world in a better. So for instance, in like threatening situation, our brain goes into that fight, flight, or freeze situation, right? So that's a brain shortcut for us to make decisions. And but the thing is, when we're making those decisions under stressful situation, particularly, um, that may not be the best serving decision for the people at work, right? When it's concerning hiring, when it's concerning people development, or managing your team day to day. So those kind of decisions are what we need to be more aware of, and so that we can, you know when you're aware of something, you can make a different choice, right? So I think that's where we need to really look at unconscious bias, and what's the relationship with diversity and inclusion. That's really even more interesting, is because when we talk within the space of diversity and inclusion, diversity in essence is really talking about the differences that we bring to the table, that we bring into the workplace, right? So we're talking about gender, age, physical abilities, culture, anything that makes up who you are, that unique person that you are, right? So when we bring people from different backgrounds, they tend to be we will there is a requirement for us to get to know one another first, right? So that we will be able to work together. So I and you and I, we are, you probably think, okay, we're good people, we make the right decisions, we make the decisions because it's the right thing to do. But where are we coming from? We could be influenced by our background, our upbringing, where we've lived before, the university, the company we keep, right? So all those things have influences for us. So we need to be able to meld that together and weigh it in, so that it's part, when we're making people decisions that matters, we're not doing it in a way that is detrimental to the people and the system within the workplace. And for inclusion as well, are we making inclusion is really about having that culture or environment in the workplace where everybody feels like they're valued, like they're safe, right? They're psychologically, they feel safe in the workplace, and that they can they can speak, they can share their ideas without fear of a retaliation, or being ignored or
Shot down.
invalidated.
Yeah.
That's right, that happens
Yes.
all the time, right? You go into meeting, you put on that emotional armor just to prepare
Yeah.
yourself, for that meeting, right? So yes, those kind of things happen, but within this and some of these things are driven by unconscious bias. Those comments can come uh, from an unconscious bias. I'll give you an example. There's been research that says women who bring up ideas in meetings are usually overlooked, and even if a man were to come up with the same comment or the same suggestion in the same meeting, they will be attributed that the idea would be attributed to them because yeah, that guy said a great idea. So that's not
I can
really
see Sherin going.
well, some of those things do happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen often, but it does happen to some people, right? And how are we mitigating that? For the person who's experiencing it, and for also those people who are but the bystanders in the meeting, what can they do, right? So they can actually call out and say, "No, I think I really want to hear more about this idea. Since you mentioned it first, would you like to say something a little bit more?" So you weave that into the conversation of the meeting, and it really takes that skill to stand up for the person who's being marginalized. So yeah, so
You
that's
know what?
that's
I
where.
am glad that you I'm I'm glad that you said that, City, because in fact, yesterday I was talking to Shireen about unconscious bias, and I said it starts like what you said from our background, from our culture, etc. And somebody here, Liz Hooker, unconscious bias is caused due to our own fixed belief system, sometimes from generations. And I was telling her that it could even start from the family. If you've heard of middle child syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where one
I,
parent plays favoritism.
yeah.
I prefer, but they don't really openly say, oh, I like my first child, oh, I like my third child, but who's this, huh? Oh yeah, the second child, I got second child. Like,
I can't
so it
relate to
starts
that.
developing. You can't relate to that. You're such a favorite everywhere you go, whether you're the only child or the last child or middle child, like me. I hope my brothers. But anyway, Siti, it's really interesting. How long have you been an advocate on this matter, and how often would you say do you have to deal with unconscious bias, whether to yourself or others around you?
Oh my goodness, yes, that's it. I think I have been doing this. From the first time I started work, not realizing that I didn't have the name for diversity and inclusion. When my first manager told me that about having people work for you happily and willingly, that's part of inclusion and diversity, and never realized that that was what I wanted to uphold. And until much later, I think about 5-6 years ago, that I started working in specifically in diversity and inclusion full time. But the experience that I bring from my previous life of doing marketing communications, PR, working in working in learning and development, like some of the audience here. So all those things actually brought me to a very give me a very wide understanding and appreciation of what's happening within the framework in the workplace, as well as how we making it inclusive externally as well. So in terms of um, creating a dent in society, right? How are we making enough impact in standing up? Do we have a position, a public position, that we say, this is what I'm going to go out, and this is what I stand for, and this is what I believe in? Are we doing that enough, right? So I think long story short, everything I've done all my life has really led me to where I am today. And it's really about I think just having such deep appreciation for that I totally geek out when I have find another person who loves to talk about DNI. So we'll pour over all the research reports that we've seen, the new ways of doing things around DNI. And I tell you, my children get really tired of this conversation, but I think they can be advocates too.
Yeah, I'm sure. In fact, there was one question from Andreas. He insisted that I looked at it because he WhatsApped me on the side. He says, I'm curious to know the difference between unconscious bias and psychological contract.
Interesting question. Yes. I can share with you about, social contracts. We have social contracts when we go to work. This is like in a team, I trust you to deliver certain things. You trust me to be resourceful and come up with the solution. So I got your back, you got my back, right? So that's the kind of contract that you have. So it's usually unspoken. It's just something that we do with each other. That's like this is how I'm going to show up for you. So similarly, I think with psychological contract, it's also, I think, that knowingness that I have, that this is what I'm going to bring, and I can depend on you to show up in that way that I expect you, or that or higher, right? So an unconscious bias is really something different, in the sense that it's something that is done without completely without my knowledge. I can be going around being completely unconsciously biased and not know it, right? So for instance, my children call me out for this. They were telling me that, mommy, that's culturally inappropriate. So then I will be like, I better do my research, right? So like I was sharing about how we were talking about LGBT plus, and my daughter was telling me, mom, that TV show, that's not very that's not very heteronormative. So I had to go and find out what
Wow,
does it
that's such a
mean.
big word.
It is a big word. She was 12, so I had to Google this word. I had to Google it myself. Even though I am in this line, there are so many things I don't know. There's so many things
Yeah.
we're learning from the younger generation, especially things around social justice, right? So that's where they get they have such opinions, because they are quite widely read, because they are connected on social media, right? But I think how can we contextualize it better for them, so that they can understand the nuances on what's important for us from the Asian perspective.
That's a really good answer, Andreas. I hope you heard that loud and clear. So I actually
This is where you have that word where it says likes like.
Yes. Yes.
Likes like.
Yeah.
Yes, Sherin, you were saying.
Oh, I was saying I have another question, but I think I will skip that question. My question was supposed to be some examples of unconscious bias if you would like to share, especially in the workplace. But you did share a few just now in terms of like interview, promotions. Would you like to add on to that, just a short one?
Yeah, likes it's an affinity bias. So people would I interview you, and I recommend you for the job because you came from the same university I did. Oh, orang kampung saya, you come from the same kampung, like madrasi just now, that video, right? So it's all about something that's familiar to you. There's also this confirmation bias, that I knew it. This type of person is going to be this type of this type of characteristic, that and then I will be looking out to confirm that, right? So that there I told you, I knew that she's unreliable. So for instance, this confirmation bias it happens to us every day, right? Because say for instance, you are looking at a white Proton, whatever, new car, and then suddenly you keep seeing that car on the road.
Yes.
All the time, right? So
Time to take 4-digit number.
So yeah, then that's where it is it becomes more that becomes like an unconscious bias, right? Confirmation bias. There's conformity bias also. Like you're say you're in an interview panel. There's so few of you, and then you kind of like this candidate. You thought this person had merit, and then the other person was saying, no lah, I think she was too short, or she's too tall, or whatever reasons, right? And then you kind of like get swayed. Your opinion of it gets swayed. So you just, because it's something similar like groupthink, but in terms of having your perception or your point of view swayed. So that's also a bias there. There's also I think the more popular one is that horns and halo, right? Like I
I'm
like
the one
you
with
would
the
say,
halo.
yeah, you're no, you're middle child. Middle
I
child,
can be both.
unfortunately. Right, so there's always the favorite that nothing anybody can say would actually bring them down from that pedestal, right? So your opinion of them, you hold them in such high regard, right? And then and for horns is the direct opposite of that. Yeah. Oh, so
So
I
we
think
have a
we
comment here, Shari. Psychological contract is the permission to allow employees to be their most authentic selves, where the environment allows them to be candid, honest, and allow them to voice opinion, give suggestions without any judgment. It requires a lot of trust amongst all parties to be in true psychological contract. And this is where I was telling Shireen earlier that, I am such person, I come in there with ideas that can be so out there, and I trust that you will not say, hey, what kind of stupid ideas? That'll never happen. That for me, there is no such thing as a stupid idea. Every idea is a good idea. It's how you see it and how you develop it and how you allow that person to explain it to you without all these other biasness coming in, right? So that is being, an authentic self. A lot of people don't practice that, especially in the workplace. We're talking about the workplace itself. When you want to bring the business where it is now to where it is, like if you're developing a talent, there's so many different talents there, and each of them are bringing different things to the business.
Yeah.
So if you are unconsciously biased towards one, then you'll only be focusing on one, right? So the term unconscious itself means that people doing it probably don't realize that they're doing it, right? So what are the main factors that cause people to be this, unconsciously biased?
Well, I think we've touched a bit on this as well. It's really about where they come from, their habits, their habit formation, that brain shortcut. It really, just make people just to do something just because they've done it before, right? Or they've seen people do it before, and they think that that's okay, and nobody calls them out, so they'll continue doing that, right? So there are so many factors that people do this, and also like about being that true authentic self. Thank you so much for that definition. That's really very thorough. And people showing up also in their most true authentic self, sometimes it's not safe for them to do that at work, right? They may be shut down. So when that's where a lot of them choose to hide, or so that comes with another emotional burden of having to cover who they are as a person so that they can just be at work. And then that's like, you're having only 50% of that person. He's not bringing his 100% self. So we're, as employers, we're missing out. All right. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we will need to do to cover that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we really have loads of questions from the audience today, which is great. But let's say hi to some of them. There is Nindi. Hi, Nindi. Hi, Meijin. Who else is here? We have Tarosha, Nadisha. Have I pronounced the name correct? So we've got lots of questions today. But guys, if you all still have more questions, please put it down. But there's a question from Michelle actually. Michelle says sometimes it is hard for people to notice their unconscious bias. How can someone younger or more junior help without the fear of repercussions? Well, biasness knowledge, she says, is seniors are sometimes less open to listen to someone younger. It's a gender
Like me,
bias, isn't it?
I'm
Ageism.
always young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always young. I agree. So there is this thing called ageism as well, right? So there's there's some biasness around there where people don't feel like they can be that there is that position and power and privilege. So that's those are the real concerns when it comes to age. So as particularly I think in our region we are very we revere the elderly, right? So we give them a lot of respect and so because that's just how culturally we are, as a community. um, but having said that, right, and knowing where leadership needs to go to take it up to the next level, leaders will need to start acquiring, exercising a new muscle of empathy and compassion, and really understanding and living the inclusive leadership stands, right? So it's not just some a poster they see on the wall. It's something that they live and breathe it. So it will take a long time, but it's the first thing would be to start, right? To start
Yeah.
speaking about it in a way that is safe for both parties. That um, you know there are some organizations where you have this non-retaliation clauses or no,
Yeah.
policies. There is the non-discrimination and anti-harassment, what have you, equal opportunity, employment opportunity. So all those policies are in place to help you to make sure that or open door policy. That's another one where you can actually go skip level and also speak to somebody about this, right? And it's not about calling that person out, but it's more about, okay, this is what happened and this is how it made me feel, and it's going to be affecting the way my relationship with this person, and also ultimately how we do the work together, right? So presenting it as a on that note would actually help some people, like we saw in the video. They didn't realize that it was an unconscious bias, right?
Right.
So often when we speak to them with this, this level of stating what was your take of the situation, and the leaders would actually realize and said, I didn't realize that's I made you feel that way, so they would actually so when you're trying to go into that conversation, you need to understand. So what's your goal in calling it out? Do you want an apology? Do you want it to be, do you want punishment, right? Or do you want him to repent, or do you just want that person to just stop doing this non-inclusive behaviors, right? So then you'll be in a better position to really go in and have that conversation, either with the person directly or with another superior.
That's right. Well, speaking about what you said about open door policies, let's ask the audience a question. Guys, does your organization have a policy to tackle issues on unconscious biasness? Let us know in the comment below. And Maheran, another question talking about society just now. What is the impact and effect on the society of unconscious biasness?
Oh, that's really a big, wide question, right? Because where do I start with this one? So wars have been started because of this, right? Just on plain bias or unconscious bias. And
Yes.
I think in society, what it does to us as a humankind is it separates us into this us versus them mentality. Like, this is the in group and this is the out group. So the in group I treat a different way. There's preferential treatment, and then I'll really make sure that I do not give access to those who are in the out group. So many of these things are happening outside there in society, with what's happening in uh, Palestine now. This is blatantly biased, right? But then, if let's just take a look at home, we look at migrant workers and or refugees. So there's a high level of biases that we associate with them. So when we associate the bias and it has a negative connotation to it, it will translate into actions. The prejudice, the beliefs that we have would translate into actions that could negatively affect that group of people or those or that person, right? So this is where I think that we can be more mindful.
That's wonderful.
I think
Talking
there's
about
a bit of
bias. Yeah, today the internet is a little bit off. Yeah.
I think it's biased towards us, right? It's interesting that you spoke about, society and biases as well. And I just have to talk about my my cousin, third removed on my mother's side, recently became very, very famous. And when he said this, he said, unconscious bias, from my understanding, having had the upbringing and the education that I have, I had no idea what it was, Harry said. I had no idea it existed. And then, sad as it is to say, it took me many, many years to realize it, especially then living a day or a week in my wife's shoes.
Absolutely. I
Do you want to
must
know who Harry
say,
is? Do you want to know who Harry is? My nephew, 3 times removed, my mother's side.
Yes, we know, James. But Mahera, do you have something to say about that?
oh yes, I must say you could actually quit your day job and do this, impressions, James. I think you're doing a really good job.
You can speak in many ways, many
I
slangs.
know.
It's just
Oh my
amazing. Anyway,
goodness.
Liz did say, Liz has, James, you're breaking up, sorry?
I know, my Wi-Fi is just wonky.
Okay, we heard that loud and clear. Wonky. Yeah, there was a comment from Liz. Liz actually introduced me to Mahera number 1. Thanks so much, Liz. She's an amazing lady. And and actually Liz had Ayn, the girl who spoke up about rape. So Liz mentioned in the case of Ayn, who tried to stand and speak out to create awareness of Malaysian schools place has to be a safe place, right? Safer place, had a backlash where they are all unconscious biasness of those older ones than her, saying that she's too young and shows disrespect to her teachers by voicing out that what the teachers rape jokes are not right. Well, Ayn even made it to BBC. I mean, she's being heard right now. So I think really what she's advocating I feel is something really, really good. So do you think, Maheran, there's a lot of bias coming from the society towards her?
Of course. And I think this, we cannot change society in a day, right? So it really is deep-rooted beliefs that people have, to either protect the people who are being reported against, and that happens, right? So we just need to keep talking about this, because having that conversation is the first step, right? To actually really find a solution to this, because no, it's not okay. Because it starts from school, it graduates into universities, where I also had a personal experience with it with my daughter, and then and then it goes to in the workplace, so it never ends, right? So and then you have those which that is harassments that happen, and in the rape jokes or sexual harassments that happen in public spaces. So for us, I think what's important is that we need to find a way to start talking about it in a way that educates people, that help people see that this is actually not all right. It has a negative repercussion for the person who's going through it, right? So because to value those differing points of view, because you can have it's not a black and white thing anymore. It's a whole situation that we need to address.
It's true.
Sorry, I was just out there for a while. I went unconscious.
You went unconscious. I saw that. Actually, since
So, I mean, yeah, go ahead, Sherin. Yeah.
No, over to you. You first.
So, one of the things that organizations can do, if you don't already have this, is have specific programs on unconscious biasness. Training, for example, have regular trainings on unconscious biases so that people know what it is all about. And whether you are aware of it or not, suddenly you go, yeah, I might have been, biased along the way somehow. And then they start realizing. So once they start realizing that they may be, unconscious, they may be practicing unconscious biasness, when they are actually at that point, when they are biased, they tend to snap out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to a large
Did you hear
extent,
that?
yes, we did hear you.
Did I go away somewhere again?
No, you just frozen.
But we heard you loud and clear. But why don't we just since he's frozen and looking so good on video, Maheran, what is the effect of unconscious bias on inclusion and diversity? You can give us a real short answer, because we're coming towards the end of the show. It's going to be 2:00.
Yeah, right. So I think for what's important for us to remember is that there's so many it has the repercussions of unconscious bias in the people decisions that you make in the workplace is so it's very stark, is it's and therefore we need to take steps to actually educate people, create awareness, keep talking about it, embed it as part of their day-to-day everyday how do they create everyday inclusion in the way they relate to one another, and really to have that ensure that people have that fair access to career development. They have that they're treated with respect, and that everybody feels safe and valued, right? They can show up as their authentic self. I think that's one of the most important thing, because you can't really stem out bias, unconscious bias altogether, but we really need to elevate that that awareness level. And I think one last thing that I would say is that we could, for ourselves, we could test it on ourselves. So we do this flip it or test it, flip it to test it a game. So say for instance, I'm going with this say I'm making this decision about this person, or I'm having this point of view about this person. So would it be a difference if it was person A instead of person B? So I flip that. If situation, if it will have to be somebody else, would I make a different decision? Then then you can question yourself, am I being biased here, right? So this can also and also calling out and speaking up, and speaking out to those who are actually doing it in a safe environment, and respectfully bring them to a dialogue that, yeah, this is not cool, and let's see what we can do about it, like how can we make things work, because this is the repercussions of it. There's just too many to deal with.
Yeah, that's a great advice to the audience, and playing the game of flip it to game. I think it's a fabulous game. I shall go and check it out later. Or if you want to share it with us, how exactly to play later on in detail, because you gave a snapshot of it. Well, we do have our recording of this video on YouTube for those who have joined late, because it's a very, very, very deep and interesting topic for our audience to follow. So they can always follow the YouTube by Sherin Kelly. And then maybe Maheran, you can also explain to them how to play this game. So we have a society, a community of people who are more aware of what this unconscious biasness is all about, and make sure they don't, do it consciously lah, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, so we're coming to the end of the show. I really like to thank you so much, SITI MAHERAN, for all the brilliant things that you've shared today. I'm sure the audience have got so much. I see so much of people say that it's an excellent session, very insightful, loving the accent must be for James just now, but he happened to just talk from the internet. So I really like to thank you so much, Maheran, for the serious discussion with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's been such an honor to share with you about, some of the things that I've heard and, picked up along the way, and very happy to share anything else that with
I'm
with your
back.
team. Hey, welcome back, James.
He's back just to say goodbye.
I know. I try to charge the battery by cycling faster.
Yeah. Maheran is just doing the closing, so she's just So thanks so much, Maheran. And
thank you so much.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just saw one particular comment here from one person saying about putting it into the training, right? So it's not just putting it as a specific training, but also to embed it in some existing training already, because some people, when they hear the topic unconscious bias, it just flies over their head, right? So you need to, when it's embedded as, this is how it looks like in your day-to-day life, then they say they can connect the dots finally. So we're hoping that that can help bring this to a greater level of awareness. So thank you,
I
both
think
of
this is
you.
where
I had a really good
this is where
time.
we lost. I think this is where I lost it when I was saying, we should have that as part of training, right? So, Sherin, what is our next episode?
Our next episode, I actually have, our next episode will be performance calibration and hybrid working environment, a very interesting topic. But first of all, thanks to all our guests also for joining us today. And Maheran, would you like to share with our guests your social media platforms so they can follow you too?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm as my full real name, authentic self, trying. So it's SITI MAHERAN Ahmad. Look out for me in LinkedIn.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sherin.
No worries. It's in the comment section below.
Okay.
Yeah, side whichever direction. So, but please follow her. She's got so much of insights to share. If you have any questions, drop it to her too. If you have any training questions, drop it to me or James. And especially on the unconscious bias, like Maheran said and James said, it should be embedded as part of a training, and not just one training, perhaps a leadership program, because then people know how what's it all about. Because I've spoken to many organizations and sometimes they're blurred because it's a very big topic. Yeah. So it's about zooming in and touching on the most important subjects, topics, areas, like how Puan Maheran did today. So guys, don't forget to connect with James and myself also on social media. Like I said, if you missed the start of the session today, because it's such a great session, we have it on our YouTube channel, which is also in the link. So join us soon till we see you again.
And subscribe.
Yay. Till we see you all on the next episode of HR Intervention. Serious discussions.
Serious discussions only.
Yay.
Adios. Thank you, everybody.